Wake at Louisville is an interesting game. Louisville's a 3.5-point home underdog, over under 64. This game's at 3:30 on ACC Network. I want to play Louisville here.
Yeah.
Another round robin dog consideration for me. I have a couple things that I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of they're small at corner, which worries me a little bit against these Wake receivers that Hartman could throw it up to. Louisville can get pressure on the quarterback here, which could be a path to success to blow up the mesh point that is the starting point for the Wake Forest offense. But Wake Forest just continues to exceed expectations, and they just got to give them credit. And I'm looking at their defensive numbers. Like Brad Lambert is doing a hell of a job with that Wake defense, especially against the run. They've been really good against the run. I thought they were going to be awful. That scares me a bit against Louisville because Louisville needs to get its ground game going. Their passing attack is very inconsistent with Malik Cunningham. So I think the spot and I show value in Louisville here too. But I'm a little scared that maybe I just don't have Wake's defense good enough. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, maybe I can get you over the hump because Louisville was a play immediately for me on Sunday when openers came out. Go download the Action app, by the way, if you haven't. And the issue is that yes, Brad Lambert and the Wake Forest defense are good against the run, but they're good against running backs who are getting handoffs and gap runs that are like pulling guards and not zone runs and not zone reads. And when they have gone up against dual threat quarterbacks, it's just been a completely different story. So if you go back and look at what Malik Cunningham has done to Wake Forest all these years, he has just absolutely torn them apart. Louisville has kind of owned this series. And they've scored at least 34 points in 5 years that Malik Cunningham has been there. So if you look at the other dual threats that Wake has gone up against this year, DJ and Clemson, he had 58 yards. They were all on designed and scrambles. Will Shipley had over 100, and that's from the zone read. Liberty is the one Liberty is the one that stuck out in my mind. And the reason that I wanted to make this bet, because Kadon Salter had 90 yards on the ground. Day Hunter had only 19, but it was the zone read that they absolutely could not defend whatsoever. Wake Forest was a little bit lost. So yeah, they have great rush numbers, but when
they only beat Liberty by 1.
Yeah, when you go back to that Liberty game and you start watching highlights of that, it's like, oh shit, they can't defend dual threat quarterbacks. They're going to pick one or the other, right? The defensive end is going to pick one and the other one's just going to fly off. And that is not a good combination for a Louisville team that not only has Malik Cunningham, but they've got 5 running backs that are all healthy now. Like Tyon Evans, most likely available per Satterfield. Trevion Cooley's the most explosive out of all the running backs. And Jawar Jordan, he's created more missed tackles than any other running back. So they got 3 of them that can line up next to Malik Cunningham and explode. And then, I don't want to get too far down this, but Sam Hartman had his worst day of the year against Boston College. I know it says 5 TDs and 1 INT. We're not that kind of podcast. He had no big time throws and 2 turnover worthy plays. So his touchdowns were not because of him and not because of his throwing. The Louisville defense is top 20 in havoc. So I'm going to trust on them a little bit. And I say this every time we bet on Louisville. Oh, the penalties are going to kill us. Hopefully we can survive. But at the base core of this bet, think about that Liberty game, because that dual threat quarterback combination on the ground has torn Wake Forest apart.